Guys, hopefully, if you're watching this video, you have already finished that review packet from today in class. If you did that, that will be really helpful to help you study for the test that is tomorrow. The only things that are on the test that you need to be able to do are obviously understand decimals, which we did in Chapter 7. You need to be able to add decimals and subtract decimals, and then apply that to some word problems that often use bar modeling. We're going to review the whole chapter right now, so we're just going to go through a couple different things. First, we're going to review adding decimals. If I'm seeing 15 and 7/10 plus 3 and 8/10, I automatically, whenever we add, we line them up vertically just so we can align their place value. If it says 3 and 8/10, 8/10 goes in the tens place, 3 goes into the ones place. My decimals are lined up, and I can add them. 7 plus 8. I know is 15, so I'm going to regroup my 1. 5 plus 1 is 6, 7, 8, 9, and I have a 1 in the ones place. Obviously, this is my tenths, and these are my wholes, so my decimal goes right there. So I have 19 and 5/10. And I'm going to check, if I were on the test, I would check with my calculator to make sure I did this correctly. Number 8, this next one says 22 and 9/10 plus 7 and 2/10. The 7's in the ones place, the 2 is in the tens place, and my decimals are lined up. And I'm going to add 9 plus 2 is 11, regroup my 1, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 2 plus 1 is 3, and I get 30 and 1/10. If you would like to practice adding decimals, just make them up yourself and just add them on a piece of paper. We're going to move on to subtraction. Same thing as addition, we're going to line them up. I feel like a lot of us are forgetting to put the big one on top because you can't, if you have a small number, you can't take something bigger away from that. The bigger one has to be on top. So I have 1 and 6/100, and I'm subtracting 38/100. 38/100 lines up here. I'm going to put a 0 there for a placeholder. And I can't do 6 minus 8, so I'm going to look over to 0. Well, there's nothing to take away from there, so I have to go all the way over to the 1. That becomes a 0, and this is a 10. Now I can take from the 10, make that a 9, and this is 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 9 minus 3 is 6, and 0 minus 0 is 0, and I get 68/100 as my answer. I could check this on a calculator, or I could check by doing the opposite. I could take my answer plus this, and it should equal the top number. Next, I have 5 and 6/10, and I'm subtracting 1 and 72/100. Obviously, there's no number here, so I'm going to put a place value because I know 5 and 6/10 is the same as 5 and 60/100. Now I can subtract. I can't do 0 minus 2, so I need to take from my tens, and I have 10 ones minus 2, which is 8 ones, or 8/100, I guess. 5 minus 7/10 I can't do. That's 4, so I have 15 minus 7/10, and that gets me 8. I have 4 minus 1 is 3, and my decimal goes there, and I get 3 and 88/100. Again, if you want to practice some subtraction, you may make up your own problems on the side and check them at the calculator on your own. One last thing, I know we went over this, but I just wanted to give us a reminder of the number lines with decimals. A lot of times we look at this and we see, oh, we're starting here. I'm jumping 2 and 69/100, and then I'm jumping another 1 and 83/100, and a lot of us add these two numbers together, which is correct, but it's only one step of the problem. So I'm taking my first hop, and I'm adding my second hop, and 9, 10, 11, oops, I got it wrong. That's 12. 8, or 6, 7 plus 8 is 15, 2, 3, 4, and I have 4 and 52/100. I should ask myself, does that make sense that it would go 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, and then I would just be on 4 and 52/100? In my mind, that doesn't make any sense. You have to look at where you're starting on the number line. The number line isn't starting at 0, it's starting on 50. So I have to take my 50 and add however my total hops are. So I have 4 and 52/100, and then I end up landing on 4 and 52/100, which would go in this. And if I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's between 54 and 55, and it's almost halfway there. That makes sense, okay? So when you're working with a number line, just pay special attention to where you're starting on the actual number line. Next, what we're going to do is, I think, the most important part of this chapter, which is looking at some word problems. Automatically, a lot of these are set up to be bar models. I really suggest, because first of all, you're going to have to show your work. So bar modeling is a wonderful, wonderful way for you to show your work so that I can see that you are understanding, and it also allows you to visualize the problem. So when you're reading, you visualize and make pictures in your mind. When you're doing math and it's a word problem, you're still reading and should be making pictures. However, in math, you actually get to draw them. So I have a tank is full of water. All right, let's draw the tank, and I'm visualizing it's full of water. It says after 16 and 5/10 liters of water are used. In my mind, I'm thinking if it's used, it must have been taken out. So it's saying that 16 and 5/10 are used. If it's used, I'm assuming that we're Xing it out and we're subtracting it. It says that 8 and 75th water are left, so that must be what's right there. The question says how much water was in the full tank? How much was there before it was any taken out? They want to know how much did we start with. Obviously, I have to take my two numbers and I have to add them together to figure out where we started. Putting my placeholder 0. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 6, 7, 15. And I got 25, 52. On a test, to be really precise and to make sure that you're doing all that you can and going above and beyond, I would put this in a sentence. And I would say there was 25 and 25/100 liters of water in the tank. Then I can find your answer, because sometimes, and I would even maybe like circle my final answer, because sometimes we do all of this work and we don't circle your answer, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what your actual answer is. You have all this wonderful work here, but what is your final answer? So make sure that you put it in a sentence and circle it. Next we have a piece of fabric is 4.5 yards long. Okay, your fabric, and it is 4 and 5/10 yards long. Good. The customer buys is a key word there, 2 and 3/500 yards of the fabric. Well, that looks like about here, and if they're buying it, I'm thinking that you're subtracting it, because if you're buying it, you're taking it away. And the question is, how many are left? Okay, so I'm looking and I'm seeing that I've got a whole and a part, and I'm missing a part. In my mind, I'm automatically looking at this model and thinking, well, this piece is a lot smaller than the whole, so I have to be subtracted. So I'm taking my whole that I started with, taking away the part, putting my placeholder 0, and then I have to subtract. I can't do 0 minus 5, but I can do 10 minus 5, which is 5. 4 minus 3 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. And I end up with 2 and 1,500 yards left. And I would put this in a sentence, because that way my teacher knows exactly what my answer is. So I would say there are 2 and 1,500 yards left. And I'm going to circle it so everybody knows that's my answer. Okay? This next one, I think you should pause the video and I would try it on your own and see if you can show all of your work like how this one is and put it in a sentence. So when you're ready, press play. All right, so it says Shannon collects rainwater to water her flowers. Okay, that's cool. She has one bucket with 3.4 gallons of water. So maybe you want to draw a bucket. Here's my bucket. In this bucket, actually I'm going to do my little, this has 3.4 gallons of water. And another bucket seems to be a little smaller with 1 and 8,500 gallons of water. Oh, wait, no, I did that wrong. See, I'm reading wrong. 1 and 8,500 gallons less. So I know that it's smaller, but I don't know how much smaller. I just know that it's a 1 and 8,500 less. She uses both buckets to water the flowers. How many gallons of water does she use? So I know right here that I don't know this. And obviously, in order to solve this problem, I have to figure out how much is in this second bucket. So I know that if this one's way bigger than this one, I obviously have to subtract to get to my other answer. And I'm going to subtract. 0 minus 5 I can't do. And this becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. I can't do 3 minus 8, so I could do 13 minus 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is 5. 2 minus 1 is 1. And so I know that this must be 1 and 5,500, okay? However, the question is saying she uses both buckets to water the flowers. How many gallons does she use? They want to know if she's emptying out both buckets, how much does she use? So I need to take my totals of both and add them together and see how much does she use. And I got 4 and 95 hundredths, okay? And I would put that in a sentence. 95 75 gallons. Make sure you keep that measurement of water. I'm going to circle it, and then I'm good to go. Next one, I also would like you to pause and try and do this one on your own. This is our last problem, and see if you could show all of your work in a neat and organized manner, and make sure you write your final answer in a sentence. A pole is painted white and red. The white part, let's see, white and the red. The white part is 7/500th meter long, so I'm going to make that. Okay, and the red part is 1 4500th meters longer. So I know the red is longer, and I know the extra long part is 1 45 meters longer. What is the length of the entire pole? Here we go. Automatically looking at this, if I line these two up, these look like they're about the same. So I'm going to put that there. Now I can figure out what this entire red part of the pole is by adding my two numbers together. And I get 2 20/100. And then I'm going to take that, 2 20/100, add it to my white pole, and then see how much I have total. And I get 2 95/100, which I'm going to write. The pole is 2 95/100 of a meter long. I'm going to circle my final answer, and I have everything down. If you would like to study tonight, any addition, subtracting, decimals that you can do are very helpful. If you would like to look at that practice, the packet we did, that also will be very helpful for you to study as well. All right, good luck, and I will see you tomorrow.